Hello, guys. Welcome to the iKeto Clinic platform. I'm so excited that we have finally come to the end of our ketosis challenge, which I believe everybody has enjoyed it. For those who participated, I want to say a big thank you for taking part, and I want to thank you for the testimonies that you have shared on the platform and the friendships that we have created on the platform. I know will go a long way in supporting us even in future challenges. Now, today I just quickly want to talk about carbohydrates just in time for us going back to eating them. Now, there's nothing wrong with carbohydrates at all. Carbohydrates is part and parcel of the foods that God has given us, especially in Genesis 1:29, where God says that He has given us every herb that bears seed and every tree in which the fruits bear seed. He says, "This shall be meat for you." And that is the basis for which we formed our Genesis 1:29 platform. So today I'm going to talk briefly about this carbohydrate that God has made for us. Now, I'll keep it very simple. When we eat carbohydrates, what happens in our body is very essential. Now, carbohydrates are essentially broken down into glucose, which is the simplest form of the carb. Now, glucose will combine with oxygen and other trace elements like vanadium, chromium, and a host of complex processes in its physiology or within the physiology of the body and produce energy. So we eat the carb, we produce what we call ATP, which then is the energy that the various bodily systems need to function. Now, the problem with carbohydrates is that we, number one, overconsume it. Number two, we consume the wrong kinds of carbohydrates. And number three, we are deficient in vitamins, minerals, and nutrients needed for the metabolism of these carbohydrates. And so there's a problem created in the body due to the amount of insulin that the pancreas would have to produce because of these wrong kinds of carbohydrates, like processed foods, like fast foods that we eat, and the drinks that we drink. They are all processed, and so they release an enormous amount of glucose or simple sugars into our body, which causes a spike of insulin release that can harm our body. And the harm can range from fatigue, headaches, general weakness, hormonal imbalances, elevated cholesterol, abnormal cravings, cyst formations, and yeast overgrowth. So there could be a host of problems as a result of a high amount of insulin that is released. And so my video today is to explain to you that what God has actually made is the whole forms of carb, which are complex in their nature. Now, the complexity is because when you take a carbohydrate molecule, a good carbohydrate molecule or a complex molecule, attached to it is a protein. Now, attached to it again, the same carb is a fat molecule. So this exists in the complex form, meaning that it's got some protein to help its digestion, and it's got the fat molecule attached to it to make it not release its sugar so quickly. So it takes time and slowly to release. And so you don't have a spike of insulin that could harm your body, which I have mentioned some of the problems a high amount of insulin can cause, especially if you are sensitive to carbohydrates. And now this sensitivity is not an allergy. This sensitivity is a metabolic sensitivity, meaning that the excess insulin that you will release due to the sensitivity will cause you to become tired. It will cause you to have headaches. It will cause you to have spells, fainting spells, high amounts of yeast overgrowth, sleeping problem, and a host of conditions that this sensitivity can cause. And so when you want to go back to carbohydrates from ketosis, you want to go very gentle and you want to go with the whole foods. So what are the whole foods? So if you take, let's say, yam is whole in its nature. If you take plantain, it's whole in its nature. If you take potatoes, they are whole in their nature. When you eat such foods as carbs after keto, you don't release too much insulin, and so you don't harm your body. So carbohydrates, the complex forms of carbohydrates, are produced by the plants. How do they make it? So the plants will have to take carbon dioxide, which basically we all know. It will take some water from the soil. It will take some sunlight from the atmosphere. It will combine, or this will be catalyzed by the chlorophyll in the leaves of the plant to then make the food which humans and animals feed on. And then when it makes it, it will release oxygen in the air, which we will then take in again, eat the food, metabolize it to produce energy, which I talked about in the form of ATP for the bodily functions. And so it's very important that we don't overconsume. What do I mean by overconsumption? You have to introduce portion sizes. Portion sizes is the middle section of your palm. How thick is your palm? The middle sections here is the section you are looking at. The size, not the size of the outer hand, just the middle portion here. That is the size you are looking at as your portion size. And when you eat a balanced diet, make sure that you have a portion size of each category of food. So proteins, you have your portion size of carbohydrates, you have a portion size of vegetables to balance it, and if you have even anything fatty, it's all in portion sizes. And if you eat and you are not full, please don't go for just one aspect of the food, or just go for, let's say you finish eating rice, vegetables, and meat, and you go for just rice again. No, you have to go for a small amount of each one again, so you keep things balanced. Balance is the key to health. You cannot overdo one thing and be in balance. You will be out of balance. So most of us are out of balance because of the kinds of food we've been introduced to. We've become addicted. Now, a lot of times in my clinics, I see a lot of people who are hypoglycemic. They are tired, they are lethargic, they have low ambition, they have chronic inflammations. Why? Because they constantly produce too much insulin, and this is causing them to go into a hypo state, which is keeping them ill. And they develop things like diabetes, which I call an end stage carboholic person. Once you develop diabetes, you are in your end stages. That means that you've so damaged the cells, and now they are not sensitive to even the insulin that you are giving to them to help convert the glucose into glycogen, which is then used in the production of energy in the body. You see, so ketosis gives us an opportunity to break the addiction. That's what we do with ketosis, to break the carboholic addiction, the addiction to carbohydrates that is causing our health to go out of balance. If you are eating so much fine carbohydrates, you're drinking Coca-Cola, Fanta, juices, and all these things, you are addicted a lot of times to it. And when you are addicted, that's where the problem is. But if you are doing it in moderation, perhaps it won't harm you. But the moment you start to overdo these things and you keep depending on them, your body will switch into a sugar burning mode and will start to store fats. Why? Because too much carbohydrates is converted into fats in your body. Your body cannot burn carbohydrates and fats at the same time. And so when you have carbohydrates and you have fats, your body will store the fats. Fats produce more energy per molecule than the carbohydrates. But when you have the two around, your body will not burn the fats because it will first burn the dangerous one or the one that is too much in the system, which is the carbohydrate, which is a simpler form of energy first. But by the time it gets the chance to burn the fats, you've eaten another carbohydrate again. And so it never gets the chance to burn the fats and it keeps burning sugar for energy. And that's not too good for your health. And so ketosis gives us an opportunity to be able to depend on some of the fats that we have stored in the process of eating too much carbohydrates. And so once you've now come off the ketosis, please go slow. Do not be quick in introducing simple carbohydrates or sugars. Like, you go on a cake eating journey quickly, or you start to drink your Coca-Cola and Fanta quickly, you will upset that pancreas because that pancreas has been resting for a while now. It's rejuvenated. It was overwhelmed before, but now it's rested. Don't make it start producing too much insulin in one go. Go slowly. Introduce whole foods. Your vegetables, most of them have got a lot of starchy carbohydrates there. Your broccolis, your cauliflowers, potatoes, all those things, just go gently and introduce them. Eat your fruits because the sugars in the fruits, body knows those ones because it was all made by the sunlight energy. And so that energy you eat and your body knows it, those kinds of foods. But the other processed fast foods that is available out there, the drinks, cut them down. Go gently. Before you introduce those ones, start with the complex ones, the ones that have got a little bit of a fat molecule attached to it, a little bit of a protein attached to it, releases its sugars gently, and your body gently gets into the carbohydrate metabolic or metabolism mode. That way, the physiology and the chemistry of what's going on within your cells is on a gentle, moderate mode. And so you will start to benefit health-wise that way than going quickly and jumping into the sugary foods that we were eating in the past. And so that is the essence of this video. This video is mainly to thank everybody who has been on the journey and also to mention that we need to go slowly with the carbohydrates. Go with the whole foods, the complex ones, so you don't create imbalances again. We have managed to possibly break the addiction to carbohydrates. I'm not saying you can't eat them or you can't drink those drinks, but all I'm saying is you need to have or go very easily on them now that you've broken the addiction, so you don't go back and get addicted again. I want to use the opportunity to thank everybody who has participated. It's been a wonderful challenge. It's been amazing. We've all learned so much from it. And I know that when I call upon you next year to do this challenge again, I'm going to have even more participants. Our next challenge will be in September after the summer break, and it's going to be the Genesis 129 challenge. Another amazing challenge where we are going to be eating only fruits and vegetables for 21 days and see the body also transform in a different way. Ketosis, Genesis 129, they will be running side by side all the time as we build the temple of God, as we do something to maintain this container that holds the spirit and the soul. I wish you guys all the best as you go about, your daily jobs and as you eat your healthy foods. I know a lot of you would keep up with eating the salads and the vegetables, a lot of that on your plates, and reduce or go portion size with the carbs and then the proteins as well. Do your vegetables twice as much as your carbohydrates on your plates. I will see you guys on the other side very soon, and I wish you guys all the best. God bless everybody and stay blessed. Shalom. Bye bye.